Okay, ladies, now let's get information. I say, okay, ladies, now let's get information. You know you that bitch when you cause all this conversation. Always stay gracious, best revenge is your paper.
Hey, it's your girl, the thick writer chick, Miss Courtney Lyric. How y'all doing? So today I just wanted to do a really quick podcast. Just discussing things that I think I would have went back and if I could and told my younger self. You may have a list of different things. I don't know. And of course, we're going to respect, of course, in hindsight, there's the rule of time travel. If you were to go back and say anything to a former self, it could change the present. But let's pretend that that wasn't a factor. And, if you could go back and say some things to your younger self, what would they be? And also, this podcast can just be used to kind of share with younger people in your life, um, whether it be children, nieces and nephews, to people who are in, teenage age, middle school. I don't think elementary, but so really quick, just a few things. Um, where to start? I guess I would definitely around high school years, especially, go back and tell my younger self to start planning now. And I know it seems really early, like freshman. I remember freshman year, it seemed like light years from senior year, my bad. But it goes by so quickly, and a plan really helps. And if nothing else, a plan is guidance. And I know that sounds super oversimplified, but sit down with your teenagers and like as adults, we have vision board parties and stuff like that. Include your teens because even if the plan ain't 1,000% realistic, or even if it doesn't go exactly, according to plan, at least if there is a plan in place, it lets you know what not to do. Like, okay, nowhere on this does it say anything about getting pregnant. So if or anything about dropping out of school, anything about selling drugs, all that typical stuff that people are afraid of for their teenagers. So if nothing else, because yes, of course you're gonna change your mind 1,000 times. I came into high school thinking I wanted to do fashion design, and then you know I did go to school a semester for fashion design. That kind of was my plan at the time, but then when I got into the real world, I saw that fashion design was not as easy to excel in as I thought. So, but I think a plan that's really just kind of set in stone, or a vision, if nothing else, it gives you guidance to what you don't want to do, even if you end up changing what you do want to do. So that may be one thing I would have suggested. What else? As far as like finances and things like that, I definitely would have encouraged younger me to start learning about credit, how it works, and business credit. It doesn't seem important in high school, but if you have an entrepreneurial spirit, or when you jump off the porch and maybe want to start doing different things, it helps to know that credit really is king. I know Dave Ramsey encourages you to have a zero credit, but even that is frowned upon, um, by lenders and by different people. So have a credit score. Teach little me how to maintain it and keep it at a good number. And is it whack that people are judged by a silly number that really just shows that, hey, I can pay back money on time? It is. But what older you knows that little you did not is that you will have to pay extra. You will pay whether you want to or not for having a poor credit score. When you go to get an apartment, you'll get rejected, or they'll make you pay extra to compensate for the fact that your credit score is bad. So I would have definitely taught little me about credit and how to keep credits, at a good number, a good high number. And one thing I did do, I knew I never wanted a car note. I just knew that. And the one time I did get a car note when I was like 27, the car ended up getting totaled. I knew nothing about gap coverage, and that was my first and last for having a car note. I knew that much. I did know, so I knew a little something. But if you are gonna go the loan route, all the aspects that come with it, like gap insurance that keep you covered if the car is totaled. It covers the rest of your loan, so you're not still responsible for it. But that's all part of credit knowledge. So I definitely would go back and teach little me about credit and the importance of saving. Even well, it's hard to say because honestly, a lot of things I'm still learning at 35, like about homeownership, about savings, about EFTs, about jobs that match what you put in retirement. It's stuff I'm still learning. So I can only go back and give her the knowledge I've attained. Um, it's heartbreaking to think that, damn, a lot of stuff could have been avoided had I just been sent off the porch with this information. I do know a lot of black parents. You know, they really just they wanted what's best for us, but a lot of stuff they didn't know, and the stuff that they did know, they didn't think was important enough at the time to teach us. Some, I'm not speaking for all. If you had parents that taught you about credit and home ownership and loans and EFTs and hedge funds and stuff like that, then congratulations, you are amongst the privileged. But most parents, especially minority parents or black parents anyway, weren't business owners, weren't some of them weren't even homeowners, outside of the retirement their job offered, they really don't know much about retirement. So you can't give tools you don't have. So it's not like I'm bitter or resentful. I just look back and be like, man, it would have been a lot easier had I gotten this knowledge off of the porch. Excuse me, which is one of the reasons why I'm really trying my best to put the knowledge that I have gained in my son's hands. So when they jump off the porch, they aren't jumping off blindly into a world that takes advantage of people who do not know how systems work, who do not know, you know, predatory loans, things like that. They do exist, and they prey on people who weren't properly educated. So I would definitely make sure that little Courtney is as much as the knowledge that I have properly educated. Um, you know, my mother was very independent, so as soon as I got of age, I was like, okay, it's time to get my own. And maybe looking back, it wouldn't have been so terrible to stay maybe until like 25 at home with mom and just kick her a little something, for my room and board and save the rest. Imagine if I had worked from the time I got out of high school till I was 25. At 30, you would have enough to maybe, depending on what kind of job you're working and how much you were putting away, definitely for a down payment on a house. I don't know, if you really was a hustler, you might have saved enough to pay off a home, not a huge home, but yeah, a little something, a little trailer or something, and a piece of land. But like I said, our culture is very big on get on up out of here once you're 18. Like, so I mean, some things are out of your control, but I think the idea of independence and having my own and staying up as late as I want and not having to deal with anybody else's rules was more appealing than any potential savings. And of course, I'm not coming down on anybody who had an abusive home. Like, of course, we're not guilting, excuse me, guilting and shaming you because everyone didn't have a peaceful or a pleasant home. Rules weren't the worst of it for some people. So I definitely respect that. But just for myself in hindsight, looking back, like, man, maybe four more years at home while in school and working a little job saving wouldn't have been so bad. You know, um, I would definitely encourage little Courtney to get a skill. Although I was very talented, having a skill is a different thing. Like, yes, I could draw and still can draw. Yes, I can write, things of that nature, hence the writer chick. But honestly, like I tell my nephews, and my sons, my niece is kind of smart right now. If you want to stay paid, get a skill. If you want to become rich, solve a problem. And if you want to be educated, go to college. Like for real. The people that are extremely rich, most of them, not all, so we know there's some exceptions, have solved problems. Like Jeff Bezos, creating Amazon, that solved the problem. You don't want to go into the store and shop, we'll bring it right to your door. Boop. the creator of Uber, the creator of Airbnb. They solve problems. So if you want to become part of the 1%, solve a problem. But at least if you want to become wealthy on your own terms, at least if you want to stay paid, get a skill. The schools aren't really, they are. Okay, when I was in school, they had cosmetology class, but I was pointed towards fashion, so I went to Cato Career Center for fashion design, and I did learn some stuff, but nothing that I put to use. Like, so I wouldn't even call it like a skill. If nothing else, learn to braid hair. Like, I mean, you know, buy your boys a little barber shop kit. Like, here's the thing: you need a skill that no matter where you go, it's going to be of service. If you go away to college, knowing how to do hair will keep your pockets lined. Why? Because there are no beauty shops on campus, and we still need our hair did. If you can braid and you're only charging like a third of the price that an actual beautician might, you're going to stay paid. And I think his name's Aristotle. I follow him for tips on stocks and day trading, and that is how he started saving up money to invest in the stock market. He cut hair in the military. At first, he did not know how at all, and then he went to YouTube University. Bought him a couple clippers. He had to mess up a couple of heads, but eventually he was making like $3,000. His words, not mine. A month or a week. I don't know exactly, just cutting hair on base. Teach your kids to have a skill. Yes, you can go to college all you want for sure, but having a skill does not hurt. There will always, no matter how much AI and technology comes along, there will always be people. Well, as of right now, we don't know, but as of right now, we'll always need people to do our hair. We'll always need people to, do our facials, do makeup, do nails. It's just nice to have in your back pocket, even if it's not something you're really interested in. Knowing how to weld, having plumbing skills, knowing how to work on a car, those could be life saving skills. And if nothing else, it's something in your back pocket that if you do choose to work a 9 to 5, if money is tight, if money is low, if you have decided that maybe I want to go part time and spend more time with my family, I have the skill I can fall back on. And of course, if you want to pursue it full time, you can. And I know it's not as easy as, okay, I'm quitting my job to do the nails, because you got to get a spot, you got to get equipment, and then most importantly, dun dun dun, you have to get reoccurring clients. But I work this job and then I do nails on the side. Okay, that's not putting all of your eggs in one basket, and that is smart. So, yes, I had talents, but I definitely would have encouraged little me to invest in a skill. you know, um, I went for fashion because it was my passion, not to rhyme, but and even with art, just take a few. Like back then, we had YouTube or Cato Career. Perhaps instead of fashion, I should have went for graphic design. Yeah, it would have been much more boring, but that's a skill. People gonna forever need logos. Now they have AI. And some stuff AI can't do. But for people that tinker with AI like myself, AI does not spell well and it damn sure messes up hands. So don't think that it's completely shut artists and graphic artists out of business. It hasn't, because it has many flaws. And there are some people that would still prefer hand drawn, handmade, so probably my best bet would have been to just do a little graphic design on the side. So that's something I would have probably encouraged her to do. Like, hey, just painting stuff around the house is cool, but maybe grab a few books from the library about graphic design. I was on MySpace and Black Planet making backgrounds and doing HTML codes. You could keep. I should have stayed because I taught myself Photoshop. That's what we had then, Adobe Photoshop. I just stuck with it. If nothing else, I would have that skill in my back pocket. So that's something I probably would have encouraged for little Courtney. Have a skill. And now let's talk a little bit less about financials and more about just self worth and self love. Again, it's a lot easier when you send your children out into the world with these things. But again, the grace is there because I do understand most Black parents were focused around survival. I just want to get you out of high school and not pregnant. I just want to get you, for the boys, like, I just want to get you out of high school and not in jail or dead. And it's that real. It's that real. Depending on where you live, it was definitely that real, especially for minorities. So I get it, but it is a hell of a lot easier even to do those things. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this braid. Oh, there it is. Sorry, if you're watching on YouTube, I was trying to get that braid, but it's a lot easier to even accomplish those goals if you are teaching self worth. I don't have to worry about you getting pregnant if I'm teaching you that these boys don't even deserve to touch you, that don't let nan one of them touch you until they have proven their worth, not you trying to prove your worth to them. Believe in condoms, believe in birth control, and yes, even abortion. Your womb is the most valuable thing you can give a man, to be perfectly honest. Do not open that to any old body. And I didn't have people tell me that. If what you weren't getting at home, you were either getting from your respective I want to say religious institution or from your friend group and society. So whatever you weren't getting directly from home, the gaps were getting filled in somewhere else. The church was pretty much teaching about just don't have sex, but they weren't really teaching self worth, self value, self love outside of you are good because God made you. Well, God made everyone. So what makes me special? And also, the boys are looking at Cassandra. I'm just making somebody up. They're not looking at me, and God made us both. So what's going on? The conversations that adults were uncomfortable having with kids because they thought they were too dumb to have them, or they weren't able to have because it's stuff they were still struggling with themselves. Like, so I believe me, the grace is there. I'm not coming out here to be like, y'all should have da da da. What I'm saying is, if you weren't getting it at home, you either gonna get it from your friend group, society, or your respective religious institution. And if I could go back, I would just tell little Jordan, your life is so precious, and you only get the one that we know of. um, as lovely as marriage is, as lovely as motherhood is, those things really could wait. Like this is what I tell young girls now when I talk to them. So this is what I would have told little Jordan. Build a life you love. And then when you look up and you absolutely love your life, you love the job you do, you don't go to a stress filled job. You feel like you got a substantial amount of money in the bank. If you needed to, you could take care of a child. You know what I'm saying? You're not constantly struggling. Your cars are constantly breaking down. You're not constantly in a bind. You're at peace. You actually like yourself and love yourself. And you're like, dang, I like this life I have. Now would be a good time to maybe explore finding someone worthy of sharing this life with me. Like, my thinking when I jumped off the porch was completely backwards. It was like, okay, I'm out of high school. I think I'm supposed to get married next and, career. And, but in order to do that, I have to have boyfriends. And okay, my intentions were always good, but unfortunately, other people's were not. And no one was having those real ass conversations. Most of the elder men in my life could not have those conversations with me because they was too busy being Mac daddies. Just can I be frank? You can't tell your daughter to look out for the Mac daddies if you are still in Mac daddy mode. What I'm looking out for you. So I really didn't have anybody being like, "Girl, you is too precious. Do not let these men near you." For what? Because they only want one thing, and you're looking for something else. Like we said earlier, remember the vision board that you do with your teams, or the goal list that I would have told little Courtney to do. Nowhere on this list does it say be somebody baby mama or be in some drama behind some dude. And if nothing else, I could have lined up what I'm trying to do against what you're trying to present me with and moved on from there. I definitely would have encouraged little Jordan to get on birth control and stay on it. No one's asking for perfection. If you're going to be sexually active, be smart. What we kind of thought growing up is only hoes or only the girls that were fast experienced certain things. And what life quickly taught me is that is horseshit. You don't have to be out there bad. You can be a little church girly and still get pregnant out of wedlock. It happened to me. We used to assume that people that had STDs or had a bunch of babies were just hoes out in these streets. All it takes is trusting the wrong person. You love this person and trust them, and they're not being honest with you. And now you're in a situation that you never would have thought could happen to someone like me. Well, it can. Have these real conversations with your kids. And that's what I'm saying. I would have this real conversation with little Jordan. Do not think just because you come from a two-parent home, because your intentions are good, that you're dating people with the idea of marriage in mind, that these little boys, because that's what they were, that are rolling up on you are really wanting the same thing. They're saying that because they see the type of person you are and they want what they want from you. But and if I was, if I tell my sons the same thing, I'm not saying this is just for girls. That's for boys too. Let them know that hey, these women don't deserve to touch you. You got goals and stuff you try to do. The best way to make sure you don't end up with a baby mama is to be abstinent. I'm just gonna be honest. Is to have some self control. You don't have to nail everything to the wall that gives you a phone number. That doesn't make you more of a man. And do not listen to crummy men who tell you that. You have a future. Remember, we made this board. You got stuff you're trying to do. And it's going to be awful hard to do that with a bunch of kids on your back, with you being up to your eyes in child support. And please don't think it can happen to you. You're not special in that aspect. That's what I would tell little Jordan. You are not invincible. You are not special in that aspect that you cannot get pregnant. You can. The parts work the same for everybody. Make these men, make these women, for the boys, earn what is precious to you. And if you are indulging in very human desires, be fucking smart. Don't act, do you have some, no, I got my own. And if he has a problem with putting it on, put your clothes right back on and go on right back home. Or send him on his way because something is weird. Because remember, the board says we're looking for a husband anyway. But if we're going to do this, why can't we do it the right way? Why is that a problem? And just remember, you have nothing to prove. And be okay with that. I think I would go back and tell little Jordan to be okay with rejection. You can only have one husband anyway. This isn't Baghdad. I mean, this isn't Utah. You can't be a sister wife anyway legally. So a lot of no's will come before your yes. And I think if younger people who become adults are educated on the idea that you don't have to stay in one. Again, it's hard for the elders to teach something they're still practicing. You've been with Jimmy Joe Johnson for 60 years and he's been beating you upside the head, got families all across town, but you were taught stand by your man. You were taught stay in shit even if it stinks. Let's not pass that on to the previous generations. Learn to wrap stuff up quickly and move on. On the little ride or die chicks and all that terminology we were handed in the late 2000s, I would definitely go back and let little Jordan know it's horseshit. Just slap it out your hand like that. Nobody cares that you're a ride or die chick. You niggas do not care. If anything, they are using that to prey upon you. Not appreciate it, not value it, but as an easy target. Good women are easier to play. Can I be frank? So not only do you have to be good, you have to be smart and you have to know your worth. Is what this person is offering me an experience worthy of my time? There's this list of things that I want to do. Does any of that line up with this? If I wound up pregnant by this person, would they even be a reliable, like, look at their own life? Are they taking care of themselves? I ain't gonna lie, and I'm not trying to put nobody out there bad, but neither one of my baby daddies even had cars. They both live with somebody else. Like some stuff I just look at and I'm like, Jordan, what? But at the time, it was very, well, you're supposed to love a man when he's down. And only gold diggers look at money, right? All this backwards theology that we're handing down that isn't making our community any better. Yes, maybe don't just look at a man's wallet, but look at the way he carries and takes care of himself. If he is not in a position that if you got pregnant tomorrow, that he could take care of you and that baby, perhaps you should put the condom on, or better yet, find someone else. He shouldn't be dating anyway. And should I be dating? That's what I'm saying. Like, go back to Lil Jordan and just be like, hey, as far as the dating thing goes, do that lightly because you still got credit to get together. You still got a career to build. Like, love and relationships are beautiful, but they can indeed be a distraction and a derailment. Have you ever talked to a kid that was on a good path in school, doing things right, and then all of a sudden they got pregnant, or all of a sudden they had a baby, and then they had to get money, and now they're out of school, they're having to take care of somebody, just whoosh, all the way off track. All that could have been avoided with some self worth and some self love and some knowledge being in place ahead of time. So I could go on. This is probably like the shortest podcast I have ever done, but those are just some base things that I would definitely go back and tell little Jordan, well, little Courtney. um, believe in credit, believe in finding out about it, believe in finding out about stocks and bonds, believe in saving. Even if you have to adhere to someone else's rules, so what? I really wasn't missing out on much anyway. Maybe rules would have kept me from experiencing certain things. I got pregnant when I was 20. Perhaps had I lived with mama, that wouldn't happen. And yeah, I might have to still clean and cut grass and stuff like that, but also I can pocket all my money and don't have to put it to rent. Stay in school. If school is the route you want to go, believe in having a skill though, because education gets you a job, and a job is a salary, either hourly or salary, and that number does not change unless you get a raise. So, and not that entrepreneurial, is for everybody, but learn about business credit and how to establish it, and get you a skill. And while doing those things, remember, hold off, build a life you love before you go looking for love or trying to reproduce. Because what is the point of bringing a child into something you don't like? You don't like your life, so what are you having a baby for? For him to enjoy the non-enjoyment, So those are just a few tidbits I would hand back to little me. And if you have any that you would, tell your little self, maybe add those in the comments. And thanks for tuning in. I'm actually about to go clock in. So God bless and have a good day.
I am the stone that the builder refused. I am the visual, the inspiration that made ladies sing the blues. I'm the spark that makes your idea bright. The same spark that likes to